To answer that question, I shall first like to begin by stating there isn't a convenient time to speak about ping pong diplomacy as a whole than in its 50th anniversary right now. This new era of Sino-American relation that came about as a product of ping pong diplomacy has been mutually beneficial not just for the two great superpower and its people, but for the entire world as a whole. In the early 70s, when then American table tennis player Glenn Cohen went up to the shuttle bus of the Chinese table tennis team and decided to approach them, he received a warm greeting from the Chinese counterpart, the renowned athlete known as Zhuang Zedong. Little did these two men knew at the time that their small but heartfelt cross-cultural interaction would be the foundation that paves the way for the cooperation between the people of their two great nations. This relation was much needed for both nations at the time, as both shared similar security concerns over Soviet aggression. But more importantly, the West realized then that they can't afford to not have ties with China, a nation that has been the top economic power for centuries before. This is best illustrated by a quote from then President Richard Nixon that we simply cannot afford to leave China forever outside the family of nations. After the interaction between those two players, the world was again shocked when then Chinese leader Mao Zedong invited the American team and greeted them lavishly. This eventually culminated to a US president setting foot on the Chinese soil for the very first time, and this marked a new era for Sino-American relations. But all of this wouldn't have taken place had those two players not acted as the self-appointed diplomats for their two nations with a mission of peace. Now, it couldn't be a better time to look back at that moment of great cultural exchange and to reflect upon it, because I feel we need that similar warm gestures and exchange back in the current diplomatic table between the two nations, because with the current challenge we face with climate change and the looming economic uncertainty worldwide, we need these two great superpowers to work together and get us out of these crises. No nation alone can solve the issue, and it is pivotal that we have the United States and China lead the way forward for the betterment for humankind. I am optimistic that they can achieve much more through cooperation than through competition, and humankind as a whole will be the beneficiary of their mutual cooperation.